Okay, so doing this video, let me take the headphones out with this one. Hold up. So when I tried to do it with the headphones before, I noticed there was like a clicking sound. I didn't know that was there, so we ain't doing it with the headphones right now. It is a nice day out, but I want to do this video for the younger females, even for the younger gentlemen out there as well. You know, we're talking about the ages of 14 through 25. And, this video is going to break down, why, you don't really want to be with somebody like young boy. And I talked about like this before about, the mindset of women when it comes to, being with, the old saying. I don't know if it's still used today, but back in my day, it used to be like, oh, well, good guys ain't no fun and bad guys ain't no good, concept of mine, thinking that is very stupid, because I'm finna take a bit of that conversation, put it into this one, and which also goes into the fake tough guy act for the younger guys, which also goes into the face tattoos as well, because more and more of this or that I'm seeing are a lot of younger ladies that are getting abused, neglected by the fake tough guy shit, and then a lot of young men that I see really trying to ride around and be with the fake tough guy stuff and trying to get the face tattoos. And you see where a lot of that really gets them, and trying to really grow out their facial hair as well, that goes into the tough guy act as well. Now, me, those that are wondering, oh, okay, what can you tell us? One, I am an older peer. I'm 30 years old. I have a lot of experience with things. I'm about to be 31, so I'm really about to, I'll sound preachy, but this is me just really giving advice, trying to really steer this conversation in the right direction, and really trying to open up you guys' eyes as well. So we start with the younger audience. When you have a guy from the South like that, and there's a video that I have analyzed on this channel with Youngboy about them. They have hidden agendas that are kept underneath their bed per se, or kept in the closet, and I mean that in a figure of speech. Now, this is a guy who only fight women and not men. I knew guys like that coming up who wanted to be on the tough guy gangster shit, but they would only show it when it came to women and not guys. And when it comes to there will always be an open invitation on the table with a one-on-one fade, because me, since I was the oldest and I was involved in some heavy shit, I'm like, okay, if this person wants this one-on-one with this person, I need to make sure nobody else jumps in. And I made that very clear to anybody on both sides, but if things got involved to where if there was going to be a jump, or like a little bit of a brawl, man, okay, you got to get prepared for that then. However, when shit really comes to it, people like him just never would fight a guy, so they always fought women. And there's a video that I analyzed, and I had two different camera angles that I found, that I was breaking it down with visual audio as well. You see Youngboy in the crowd. When somebody likes him go into the crowd and perform and don't be on stage, and when they take off their jewelry to tease what they're doing, it's called teasing, an open invite invitation to get robbed. You have more of the females grabbing onto him. A lot of people are hitting the chain. What do you expect? But if you look at the video, when it's analyzed, he's really punching and fighting the female. You know, that right there on its own, to me, goes to show that this young man has a history of neglecting women. Now, usually when that happens, there are the hidden agendas and the skeletons in the closet, per se, because he has a tattoo of Kevin Gates on his body, just like Kevin Gates has a tattoo of him on his body. Kevin Gates was grooming a young boy. For those that may not know what the word grooming means, grooming can mean two things. In one category that is considered good, teaching somebody, grooming them, trying to lead them down in the right direction, take them underneath your wing, on the right things to do, to when it comes to school, life, work, trying to help them with the business, manage money. That's the good way. The bad way is when you're brainwashing them with manipulation, with sex at a young age. So to me, Kevin Gates, and this just ain't conspiracy, no, this is a known fact. The farther down south you go, the more stuff like that there is. And I talked about this before, and I'm gonna have to link that video. I forget what I titled it, but I was talking, oh yeah, it's called, What Happened to Lil Wayne. So, this kind of conversation really falls into this as well. The farther down south you go, the more you see older men with younger boys. So Kevin Gates was fucking young boy at a young age, manipulating and brainwashing them with money, their jewelry, and gifts. It's a real thing. What happens not just amongst the black community down south, but also amongst the white community, as well. It is something that you don't really hear about too often, but it is a very real concept. And I even, go as far as talking about, the underage relationships like that, how they're more so accepted down here in the South, and how a lot of people, do turn a blind eye to that. And when it comes to the abuse, of women, it's a very, with us here in the black community, we're very hypocritical about it, because a lot of men who I know who have daughters still neglect their girlfriends, their baby mamas, their wives, and even their daughters. But every time they hear about somebody else doing it, they want to hop on that bandwagon saying, man, that's really messed up. So you have a lot of, criticism, a lot of hypocriticism, per se. Yeah, I like that word. Hypocriticism in the South when it comes to black men, when it comes to abuse. So because of that, for examples, right, I'm finna give you some examples that I personally have been through, that I have saw. Me, I started out in the game at a young age, around 6. To me, it was always put in my mind that women were hoes, sluts, and toys, and meant to be pimped. I knew a couple of pimps that, knew me. Me, I got a little bit into the pimping game, but me, I mainly became more of a ladies' man, like, what's his name? Fillmore Slim. I don't know how you guys may know who Fillmore Slim is. I do recommend looking him up. But me, I came more like a Fillmore Slim type ladies man, player type, receiving gifts, and I would have just either, for some reason, now I don't know if they still do this or not, but I would have girls, call up my house back when we used to have a house phone. And they would go to the office, get my number, and make up some story, right? And my mom was like, some girls called up here asking for you. And sometimes I would have them come down to the house. They started knocking on the door, shit, and asking for me. You know, for those that say I'm bullshit, man, I still have my captain's jacket, which means, when you receive a captain's jacket and a captain's hat, you are one of the captains of the whole ship. You ever earned that. There's really no pimping down here in the South anymore. I mean, honestly, there never was. A lot of that, pimps have really moved up north to like the East, West Coast, where there's pimping very heavily at. And me, I think I was like maybe definitely one out of two that was still down here in the South, at the time being. So I began really super young. I was like the youngest one down in the South, but it was more like a little bit of a player's type. And I would fall into the category where I would use manipulation of the mind, threats as well, towards a woman. And a lot of it would also be bribery as well, back when I was shacking up with a prostitute back in the day. Real talk. When it comes to abuse, my neighbor, my ex-neighbor, because she moved, and I never knew that she was in a witness protection program against her ex-husband. Like, I never knew this. I didn't even know this. I didn't even know that she even went through a name change along with her daughter as well. Like, she just never spoke on it. One day, I can't remember if she was getting something hooked up. I believe it was something to do with satellite or something, because I know back then, the early days of the 2000s, when it comes to like satellite TV or Charter back then as well. Even though they ain't around no more with the Charter and stuff, but I think she was getting something hooked up, and you had all kinds of new internet back then, really coming out really super fast. So, you wanted the best internet hookup as well back then, which was available. So I believe she was getting that hooked up. And there was a white business van, that did those things, that pulled up. And, well, after the van left, this happened on a weekend too. It's like on a Saturday, I do believe. Yeah, on Saturday. And she came by the house, The daughter came by the house, started knocking on the door, boom, 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 boom. Like not like how a cop knocks, like a nervous knock that you would see on TV. That boom, boom, that SOS knock. So, mom's opened the door. She's like, "What's going on?" And my daughter told her, she's like, "Me and my mom, we've been beaten." And she waited at the house till the cops came. And the stories, when, her ex-husband showed up, because neither one of them knew that they lived in this town, let alone in this state. You guys got to remember, like, the mother and daughter was underneath witness protection program against her husband, and name changed for so many years because of how horrible of a guy he was. So when he saw her, he took something out of his belt, hit his ex-wife in the head, just intended to beat her and really choke her and throw up against the wall with her head going through the wall, so a big hole was in it. And then he tended to punch his daughter several times, because we've seen the marks on her face, and he tended to pick her up and throw her, across the room. Now, he was eventually arrested for that. Another example, one that, I kind of knew about, but I really didn't know about. My mother used to be married before, once upon a time, with her first marriage. And she lived in the state of Phoenix, Arizona at the time, and I remember seeing a laminated newspaper clipping, because I guess years ago they used to put divorce things in newspapers. So my mom had hers still, and I guess when it came to certain things, like, she didn't want me to really see. Like, she had several certain IDs of her and several social security numbers. You know, when you're born, what they give you, always give you a number. But I just never really, like, what are you hiding? And I kind of put it together already, but I wanted to make sure. So one day she said, I used to be married to a guy that used to be very fucking horrible towards me. And she's like, who? And she brought this up, like, who is this fucking young boy bitch? Like, that's what she said. Like, who is this young boy bitch? And she's like, let me tell you something. You ever see a man like that? You beat the fuck out of him. Why? Because that right there is that fake tough guy shit who's abusive towards women. Because I used to be married to somebody like that. And she got tired one day of being abused by this person. She wanted to leave. No one ever knew that she was being abused by this guy. So what she did is she waited till one day he was at work, and she decided to go ahead and use the payphone to call the cops, have him arrested, and she had help filing for divorce. But I guess when he got out so many years later, and again, my mother isn't the best at picking men. She is still, stuck in a bullshit marriage with my so-called father, who's abusive as well. Because this guy used to abuse me before, until I got older. And, what stopped that, when I got pushed over the edge, per se, figure of speech-wise, I pulled out my knife and stabbed my father several times and grabbed for his gun. Eventually, with my mother's health issues, he took her life savings and left. And now that she's a bit healed up and trying to get back to normal, now he wants to come back. And she admitted some things. One thing I will say, she did admit that, yes, she is afraid of him. And she knows she will die as well because of him. So, again, them are just, examples of just being stuck in relationships like that. Another example when it comes to, I guess, younger guys doing that would be back when I was in high school, about 13 years ago or so. By now, because I'm 30, so I got out in 2010. And it was this guy, two of them. But the other one, he really dirty motherfucker. He always rubbed me the wrong way. Always rubbed me the wrong way for some reason. And he was trying to date two different girls at the same time behind their backs. And one of his hidden agendas were messing around with guys on the football team, because he was part of the football team. Well, when I saw this, I'm in the hallway, back when the old central building used to still be there. It was a really crowded school too. You had a lot of fuck shit going on as well back then in that school. He intended to brush up his boyfriend against the locker in the hallway and put his hand down his pants. I kid you not. And then proceed to kiss one girl, and then after a class change, kiss another girl. Well, this guy was also doing steroids, right? For performance enhancement with sports. Now me, I talk about how drugs ruled my life, how drugs destroyed my family, how drugs destroyed my friends, how drugs played a role in my life, as well. And for those that are curious about that video, I will also leave an end screen link to that as well. But, I know what a steroid bottle looks like. He went to Walmart pharmacy. A steroid bottle is a white bottle. It's a bit hockey puck shaped. It has a blue sticker on it with a blue cap. And the color of that sticker is just plain regular blue, like the cap, with a couple of letterings on it. They say steroids are illegal. Well, guess what? They're not so illegal because you can still get them prescribed to you through the pharmacy, through your doctor. Well, this girl would tend to be stupid-minded, because eventually the next fuck nigga she would hook up with, right, after she found out about her ex a year later, this other guy would claim to be a pimp and say, oh, he fucked this girl and this girl. When this guy moved down here for only 2 years. And then he would accept them all as his family, things out of that nature. And he really tried to start his own clique, and I let them know they weren't shit. And I said, you guys really want that B shit in the streets? You guys gotta remember, man, I was in the streets for such a long time, man. And I'm willing to bring it to them. But they just didn't want to go there. So, that also let me know, okay, you want to pop that shit, so you ain't really about it, or deal. Well, along with that, he got this girl hooked on drugs in her first year of college for no more than 6 months. Well, he got her pregnant on purpose, got her hooked on drugs. She got kicked out of college, had to quit college. And this is when he turned into some really heavy fuck shit. He decided, you know what? I'm going to get full custody of the kid. So she lost one kid already. Boom. Had another kid, lost that kid. Had to move away. Got pregnant by another guy, left her. Again, you guys really got to stop with trying to hook up with these men like that, man. Now, this would be a person that would promote drugs. He would be really heavy into shooting up, doing coke, pills, things out of that, nature. And then all of a sudden, I'm not going to say really who this is, but this guy really tried to run for some shit a couple months back here in this town for, I guess, politic reasons. Just didn't work out for him. And when it comes to guys, like that, you really got to stop it, because, one thing is for certain, if I had a daughter, and if she was dating a guy like young boy, first and foremost, this guy, a young man, this young, bitch made nigga, has a history of his ex-baby mama beating the shit out of her. Put it in her head that they were just playing. That is a form of manipulation and brainwash. Well, then he set up Floyd Mayweather's daughter. Yes, there are different ways of setting up somebody. And the main way is the bedroom when it comes to sex. The main way is when it comes to bedroom with having sex. So, young boy had his ex-baby mama. They were fucking. They set this up to have Mayweather's daughter take the downfall for stabbing his ex-baby mama. Right? And then saying, man, I didn't snitch. Dude, you were involved with setting her up. You were there. You obviously talked. I don't care what nobody says. Well, guess what? If that was my daughter and I found out that, for one, oh wait, my daughter's getting a life sentence. First and foremost, I would do, because me also being part Italian, I want to get all screen shots, all receipts, all statements, witnesses, background history of this young man and this young girl. Once I put it all together and truly find out, oh, so in other words, you set up my daughter because you wanted to be back with your ex. Okay? Once that would happen, I would lay this young man down 6 feet. I would lay that young man down 6 feet. It ain't finna fly with me. And then I would take everything that I have, also turn myself in. And I would say, look, this is what I did, but this is what I'm bringing to the table to get my daughter out. So have her years taxed onto my years, and do everything I can in my power to get my daughter out of doing a life sentence. And with that, with abusive relationships like that, young females really need to stop with putting that in their mindset like it's okay. It's not okay, because I can tell you there were cases and people I didn't know growing up that did not make it out alive out of those situations. They did unfortunately die because of that. And one situation that I've been in when it came to really, really heavy abuse like that was back in 2011. And I was up in Smyrna at the time. And there was this girl who was forced into this relationship. Heavily forced into it. And she wanted out because she would be neglected by this guy. But me and her were fucking behind his back. And she wanted to be with me. I got all up. I want to be with her too. And eventually I got out of that relationship though, because she was ready to actually die in that relationship. She was very, very close to actually get killed by this man behind closed doors if I did not get her out of there. The same thing when I was fucking with this ex-prostitute, having her as a hoe. And I would attend to, having to do what I need to do, try to protect her as well, because, when you fall into that lifestyle, you gotta protect your hoe, right? Well, I went back to a little bit of pimping for a little bit for fun. And she would eventually come into occasions where she would get, set up or beat up by some of these guys she would fuck with. So I would have to go and do what I needed to do. Yeah, that's real talk. I would have to go and do what I needed to do in order to make sure she's good. Because I can't have my hoe dying. Can't have it happen. And sadly, in most cases, that does happen. Like, one of the worst cases of a pimp ever losing one of his hoes due to murder was with Fillmore Slim. One of his hoes who he had a child by got murdered by the Zodiac killer, I think, which was real heavy for him. And that's one of the prices that you pay for being, definitely in that lifestyle. And then we get right now into the whole tough guy shit. One thing I noticed, it came with the beards. You got the big guys with the beards that really want to act into this whole big tough guy thing, and then really trying to use their size and their scruffy beards for manipulation. That is some whole shit to me, because one, you're not scaring nobody. Two, stop trying to use that as manipulation. Three, it's not going to work. But I say one thing that is definitely involved when it comes to the fake tough guy shit. For one, you're not going to be going outside in public with a bulletproof vest. You're not going to do it. You're inviting trouble to you. You know, if anybody had did that in certain eras coming up, you would get just automatically just get killed for that shit. Because one, you're inviting trouble. Two, you're being fake about it. Three, you're being a wannabe. And then when you have the whole face tattoos, ain't nobody came outside with face. I blame Lil Wayne for that shit, but we all know Lil Wayne ain't about it. But when you come outside with face tattoos and talking that dumbass talk, when I was coming up, if you came outside with face tattoos, if you got a face tattoo, you would get no respect because you would be clowned for that. You would be clowned for having a face tattoo. And either you pay money to get plastic surgery to get that off, or somebody will definitely cut it off for you. And when, especially today's generation now, I see them wearing the skinny type faggot clothes, call it for what it is, coming want to buy these fake vests, want to get these face tattoos, and goes into beating women. When you see a guy like that, that's that fake tough guy shit. Yelling on the phone, beefing over the internet. That's that fake tough guy shit. If you came outside like that, man, and these neighborhoods that I have been through, neighborhoods that I have grown up in, things that I have seen, you would get clowned and killed for that shit. That's that fake tough guy shit. That ain't gangster. Nobody really talks like young boy and Kevin Gates in the hood, because if you came around talking like that, you would actually get your ass beat, because people in the hood don't really talk like that. We talk plain English with common sense, man, in the ghettos and the projects coming up. And if you talk like that, we're going to have a talk with your parents after we beat your ass. Like, do you not care about your child's vocabulary? You just don't come like that. So when you see shit like that, that is the fake tough guy act. A lot of people's like, oh, he been to jail, he been to prison. For what? Saying he murdered somebody, saying he got a gun charge? Do you not know if that was the case, that would carry on to a life sentence? A gun charge, you're looking at what? In the state of Louisiana. You also take the south coast of that, about 5-6 years, so you're looking at maybe 5 at the most. If you take a plea deal, you'll get out in 3. A murder charge for one body, for black or white male, is a life sentence, 25 to life. You add that on with your 3-year sentence for a gun charge, that carries with that as well. So they definitely add that on there. So no, this kid just ain't about it. That is a lot of that fake tough guy shit. It really is. Take a look at AOKD. This was a young man from Chicago who, wasn't brought up in that lifestyle. He was hanging out definitely with the wrong group of people that didn't have his back, that ran when it came to it. And this young man heavily got beat up. We all seen the videos of this young man with shit, how it came to be with him. They forced him into getting these tattoos, doing this tough guy shit. He wasn't brought up within the dangerous hoods or old block of Chicago. He wasn't. And that's one thing that people got to watch out for, man, because that lifestyle is so heavily advertised that it gets so addicting that You see people that don't come from that, have never seen that, and get so attracted to it that they want to be a part of that. There's consequences to everything in life when that happens. I don't think people truly understand Chicago, man. Chicago is, from Chirac, are the only people that are still left about it. You know, I talk about how it's about a 2-hour video, and it's called "The End of This Conversation: All True Cap Facts." Because I talk about how the South is cap, not about it. I talk about how the East Coast used to be about it, no longer about it, and how the West Coast is straight cap as well. The only people still really left when it comes to street shit is the Midwest. They actually went looking for Tekashi. Chirac of Chicago and that area of those blocks are boarded off. I don't think how many people know that. There's a wall going around there with security gates because of how dangerous of that. It's actually a small section, how dangerous that small section is. You know, a lot of people want what it, you know, how that came to be. A lot of, you know, everybody would hear the mob stories of Chicago back in the late 20s, 30s, and 40s. And a lot of them wanted what a lot of those old-time mobster guys had from Chicago, man, because they left a trail of destruction in their path afterwards, after so many years and, you know, decades later. You know, when AOKD lost his girl to that type of bullshit because, well, real street niggas came down, scooped up inside of her, fucked her, and got her pregnant. You know, going back, you know, I used to see, you know, when somebody came out trying to be like Young Boy was acting, I used to slap niggas up like that for fun, for sport, back in my dumb days. You know, if it wasn't me that did it, me and a couple of my homies would wait till somebody like that went to like a back roadway, an alleyway, or into like the bathrooms, and we would just turn off the lights and just jump the shit out of niggas like that for sport. We wouldn't take whatever they had on them. We would just beat the shit out of them for fun, man, for sport. Now that's again what I'm talking about, man, with everything in detail as much as I can possible. With people like that, that's that fake tough guy shit, man. Real gangsters don't look like that. Real so-called killers don't look like that. A nigga like him, if you would have hit him one good damn time, if a guy was to really put hands on him, because we all know Young Boy's gonna run from a guy. He will run from a guy, not a female, keep it real. If a guy one day beat the shit out of this dude, right? To let him know, nigga, you ain't gangster at all. Young Boy will be so quick to call the cops and press charges. You do something like that and you promoting this tough guy shit like that, you are considered a straight bitch. In the definition of the street term of that. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or about it. Now, it's okay for people to have tattoos, and that's going back to this one guy, you know, again, what I was talking about. You know, we have face tattoos as well. He was really on some whole ass nigga shit. And to really provide more information, there was a school skit he did called Pride TV. Him and a couple other two bitches, I mean bitches, I'm talking in front of the females, wearing skirts and wearing wigs and kissing. And then I found something on the internet on Pornhub with them. They didn't have video downloaders back then, so it sucks I couldn't download those and use them against them so heavily. But again, that's that fuck nigga shit. And there's a picture of Young Boy and a video with him and his homies kissing on each other. Plus a video of him getting piped down by another guy on X videos or Pornhub too. Again, man, you ladies really gotta change your mindset, man. That's that fuck nigga shit. And I guarantee you, going back to what I said, If that was my daughter in that situation, a nigga like him would have been laid the fuck down. Yeah. Real talk, there's no need in crying over a bitch nigga like him. No need for it. So, again, this is me, just breaking down the examples, man, and, videos that I kind of talked about before. So I'm going to leave a link, an end-screen video link to the Lil Wayne one, an end-screen video link to the end of this conversation, and another end-screen video link on how drugs ruled my life. And then I'll try to fit in a fourth one, but I may have to link it in the description below. That's going to be called, Why the South Doesn't Have Heroes, Part 1 and Part 2. So check out those videos as well. They give, information as well when it comes to things like that. And again, man, I hope that the younger females, they want to be with these wannabe bad boys who want to post guns on the internet, ride around on live like that. And I can tell you this, man, that invites an open door for trouble very heavily. So much to the point, people see that, they're going to want to test that. And if you're behind that trigger, you got to pull it to mean it. And a lot of them now who do that shit, they ain't meaning it. So guess who's left? It's going to be left with the female who's eventually going to end up getting hurt or killed, while her friends and her so-called boyfriend are going to run off. I've seen that so many times that it's ridiculous, because at least one, they're not loyal. Two, they're scared. Three, they will leave you for dead to save their own asses. And the life that you save on this earth will be yours, but if you're really going to be on that gang shit, then you really got to be about it and got to back up your own team. And a lot of them don't. That's why so many of these younger generations get killed over dumb shit like that, because they fall into the propaganda of that fake gangster shit. With that being said, man, I'm out. Peace.